This is the Henry's Child Podcast. Am I crazy? Or am I just raving?
So we have a little bit of a twist today. This is Rich from Henry's Child, and I'm taking over the MC seat from Tommy because basically we don't have an extra microphone. So we're going to have a special treat for everybody today. We have Kevin Richardson from Vial Experiment.
Hello.
And we have Sebastian Phoenix from Othrys.
Hi.
And of course we have Andrew.
Hello.
And this is podcast number
13.
Right. What we want to do is we want to kind of bring everything together as far as the scene and music and influences, and speak with some other contemporaries that have been around in the scene for quite a while.
Decades, Rich. We can all officially say decades, right, Bash? Right, Kevin?
Yeah,
decades,
absolutely.
baby.
Yeah,
We ain't children in this room now. We ain't children in this room.
No. Don't remind me.
It only seems like 3 years ago, though.
Yeah. 3, 6, 9.
Exactly.
I'll just kind of point it to Bash first, and I'm going to call Bash Sebastian Bash because
I'll call
That's
him
what I was
Seabass.
called back in the day.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
But the new
So,
name is Seabass, so I'll call you Seabass.
It is what it is.
Mr. Phoenix?
Seabass is fine.
You got a
Bash is
cool
fine.
name, man.
Sebastian is fine.
He's got a cool name. I got like the total white bread name. Like,
Dude.
hey, he grew up in suburbia.
Dude, my
you
last
can
name
thank
is
my mom.
Smith.
Yeah, okay. You have any Johns in your family?
Well, I haven't... wait, hookers. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Rich.
what got Bash? What got you into music initially? You know, and then
Like
singing-
you're talking back all the way to the beginning.
Yeah,
what actually drew me to music?
yeah. What was the little spark that actually
Well-
prompted you to want to get into music?
You know, I haven't told very many people this story, but
Secrets.
God, I was in middle school and I was in music class, and we were, doing our singing in music class, and then music class was over and everybody was leaving. I was one of the last ones to walk out, and my music teacher asked me to stop and stay, and he wanted to talk to me about doing a singing part in a musical. And he thought I stood out from the whole class, and he wanted me to do a musical part. And what it was the first verse to the Cheers song. And I sat there, and he
Awesome.
gave me the lyrics, and we sat there and worked with it, and he said he wants me to do it, and I practiced it a few more times. Then we had this big group assembly, on stage, and all the parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, dogs came, and I went and stood right in the front of the stage with a mic in front of me, and I sang that first verse, and sang the choruses, and that was it. I think that it felt so good, and it seemed so right that was the actual initial step to me wanting to sing. I knew that it was comfortable for me, and it felt like I was supposed to be doing it.
Right.
So, and yeah, that was like middle school. I was young, and that was the first time I ever sang anything in front of people, and really actually giving it all my worth. And that was the start. I think that was the actual tip of the iceberg that starts the whole motion of me playing music.
Right. So from a very early
Yeah,
age.
very early, right.
Middle
Well,
school.
I came from a family of musicians. My uncle was a guitar player and a harmonica player, and and my uncles, they all played music, and and they were always into the blues. And my dad was really huge on the Doors and Pink Floyd, and so I grew up with a lot of music around me.
Right.
So.
Makes sense, man.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
And it got into your skin and never went away.
Yeah, never went away.
Yeah.
To this day, yeah, still doing it.
So Kevin, what is your origin story? What actually got you into music?
Wow, that's a complicated story.
We like those.
But it's not as cool as his. Maybe it's cooler. I don't know. It's all opinion, I guess.
Yeah.
Opinion. Well, I guess what really, really sparked it for me was when I was I think I was 15 years old, and I was going to Sheldon High School at the time. I was a freshman at Sheldon High School, and Alice in Chains was playing at the Wow Hall. They were doing a 2-night thing, and I went on the first night, and I got to party with them afterward. And that, it's just that it opened it up. I started going to your guys' shows. I started going to Floater. It's it opened up this whole thing to me, you know. But before that, I was always influenced by like growing up. My mom was really into Elvis.
Yeah.
So and also I was also always an attention whore my whole life, and I played sports, and I was always the fastest on my team, so I always got the ball in football, so everybody always cheered for me. So I think that somehow that adoration that I'm addicted to that, and then like
So you wanted to be in the front. You wanted to be the front man.
I mean, I do. Okay,
No
there's a
drums
piece
for you.
of me that wants to now, but there's a lot of me that's like,
Sure.
I don't know. I like my alone. I don't know. I like my peace.
Sure. Well, things change, but
Yeah.
it seems that 13, 14, 15 is
Yeah.
a very formative time, because it was the same.
yeah.
I started playing guitar when I was 14.
Yeah.
And
Well-
it was the same kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was trying to play guitar when I was 15.
yeah,
And I put it down about 18 when I started singing in bands, and then I picked it up again about 26, 28,
yeah.
and
So your first step into music was to actually be a vocalist. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And I know both you
I
and Bash
sucked
play guitar.
so bad for a long time.
Yeah. Well, we all did. That's part of it, man.
An off-key version of Danzig. That's what I say I sounded like back then.
To Rich's great credit, he got to hear my suckitude.
Oh, yeah.
Because Henry's Child was essentially the first band I ever got into.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. I mean, I played shortly in a band called Floppin' Dead Cats, and we played one show and I got kicked out.
It recently dawned on me what your influence is.
My influence?
Yeah.
Oh, do tell.
Queensryche.
Oh, not at all.
Not at all. What?
True story. Rich can verify that. I was
Mine
never-
neither, and I get that a lot too.
Interesting. Yeah, we're going to go through that whole thing, who we sound like. That's going to be a fun
funny.
conversation for all of us, I
That's
promise
funny
you.
to me because, like,
Yeah.
wow, I really hear a lot of Queensryche. Now.
Yeah, see, I never listened to Queensryche. I liked Silent Lucidity. Is the only song I ever listened
too.
to. It's a good
Me
one.
too.
Same.
It's a great song.
I mean,
they
Jet
nailed
City
it.
Woman.
A massive talented band, but it was just something I couldn't fully get into.
Exactly. That's a great way to say it. There's a bunch of those bands that are massively
Jet
talented.
City Woman, I like that.
That's a good one.
What I'm interested in hearing about is each one of your influences musically. What turned you crank? What made you want to sing? Not just vocalists, music
Sure.
in general. What really moved it forward? So let's start with Andrew.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, the first singer I ever heard that made me want to sing, the first singer that I was in the living room with a hairbrush in my hand, singing along at the top of my lungs over and over again was Freddie Mercury. I mean, I remember Another One Bites the Dust. It was the first single I ever owned. I mean, I played classical music most of my life. I didn't own any pop albums. I didn't have any rock music. And my stepmother, Janet, was in the Eugene Symphony, a French horn player and a music teacher, really thought that was not okay, that I was doing nothing but playing violin. So she went and bought me a bunch of albums. And the first three she got me were Billy Joel's Billy Joel's 52nd Street, Rush Moving Pictures, and AC/DC's Back in Black. First three albums I ever owned. Right. Right. And I heard Another One Bites the Dust, and I loved that song, and she went and bought me the single. And I played that thing.
What's a single?
Exactly.
Right.
I had to change the setting to 45 on the record player. Anyway, so it was Freddie Mercury, because then after that I was in love with Queen. I mean, that the way he sang, and everybody knows. I mean, come on. Top 5 of all time. Any vocalist will tell you top 5.
talented.
Exactly.
Amazingly
So that's my first love.
Didn't they all meet in like music college?
Art school or something, yeah.
right.
And then it was Rush after that. Rush is the one that launched me on to wanting to play music. How about you? Let's go you first. How about you, Kevin? First vocalist you heard that you said, I need to sing.
Oh, I need to sing? I would say Alice in Chains. The Facelift album. I was just all about that, And actually, coincidentally, the album I learned how to sing off of, though, was Dirt.
Yeah.
Sitting there with my headphones, my little ghetto guitar amp, and like my little karaoke microphone, and my stereo playing the music in the background, listening to myself sing in my headphones, with a little bit of reverb, just to, that's where
Got it, man.
Really,
That's DIY, big time.
Yeah, that's about 15.
DIY.
Yeah.
How about you, Bash?
That's the same thing. It's Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
You know, one night I was up late with my mom. We were watching Headbangers Ball. My mom was a huge influence on my music career. She introduced me to a lot of bands. She introduced me to Corrosion of Conformity when Blind was released. You know, she was like, you need to check this out. Oh, before that,
yeah.
right? And she also was one of the ones that turned me on to Machine Head as well.
Your
know?
mother.
I just saw them recently.
So,
Both
Wow.
those bands,
but
actually.
we were watching Headbangers Ball one night, and they premiered We Die Young, the video for Alice in
yeah.
Chains. And I watched that video, and I was like, it was completely different than all the other metal and rock that was on Headbangers Ball, and it was just,
Yep.
it was just like
Ball got
instant.
me, definitely.
You know, I was totally fucking in love with it, and it wasn't just a couple days after that I got the cassette, and I
Yep.
played it every day and
you have-
sang along to it every day.
Did you have the live video?
Yeah, I ended up with the
facelift?
live
Yeah, I
video,
ended up
and
getting that.
when they came to the Wow Hall for the Dirt tour, when
That
they
was-
played the 2 days in
yeah.
a row, I actually had the poster they had at the Wow
guys
Hall,
were
which
both
was
there.
You were
of
both
yes.
there.
I still
That's
have
funny.
the-
Absolutely.
That's
Same with
great.
my wife. She
I
was
have
there
that.
too
That's
as
great.
well. Yeah.
I have the one that's like about that big.
Yeah, I have the paper one. It's
Yeah.
the old facelift video
Oh, I have
cover
the
with
one
the
with all them on the front, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. It's totally cool.
Grunt truck underneath.
Yeah. With you have the actual flyer that with the grunt truck.
And I
man.
have my ticket
Grunt
stub
truck.
still
There's another band I haven't heard
signed
in a
by
long
Sean
time.
Keeney and Jerry Cantrell.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
totally cool. That was it. After that, I was singing.
Coincidentally, I didn't get Lane or Mike Starr to sign it, and, you know.
And that's never going to happen.
Oh yeah, that's heartbreaking.
You know what's funny? You guys touched on something that I don't think that we think about anymore very often, is how influential music on television was to us.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Headbangers Ball.
If I
Absolutely.
didn't have that, I wouldn't
120
have.
minutes.
Right.
You know, all these different MTV programs, but I mean, that really opened up a lot to us.
I remember exactly where I was standing the first time I saw Smells Like Teen Spirit.
See, video
I know
is
exactly
important.
where I
I
was.
think video is really important, and I still think it is
The
today.
day after I first heard that, I went to my first show ever, which was Primus at the Hilton Ballroom.
I was at that show.
yeah.
I was at that show.
It was
Yeah.
like a violent rave.
Uh-huh.
And like I was like, I don't know, 14. I did not, you know, like
That's a legendary show, man.
That
And
is.
who was Love on Ice opened up.
That's right. And
Yeah.
yeah, not so much.
Yeah, and I remember not going, having a ticket when I went, and I was sold out, and I was standing there, and some scalper says, "Hey man, I'll give you a ticket actually for less than what it."
Yeah, because you
cost."
couldn't get them all.
Yeah, and Love on Ice was playing at that point, and I went in, and man,
Yeah, that's
I was hooked.
a
after that.
legendary
First
show.
First time I ever seen a mosh pit, I was like, "What is this?" So I just jump in there with.
Hey, that's a good one. Your first mosh pit was Primus. What was your first mosh pit?
My very first real mosh pit live experience crowd surfing was Godflesh, Danzig, and Typo Negative up at
Wow.
the Seattle Center. My mom took me up to the Seattle Center.
It was just like, let's throw him to the Lions.
See, I have a pretty crazy story about this
Sink or
because
swim, boy.
I had never dealt with anything like this, and I come to the Seattle Center to see Danzig and Typo Negative and Godflesh, and it was amazing. And I'm, the band, it started off with Godflesh playing, and I'm sitting there getting put up on the crowd, and I'm crowd surfing up to the front, and they're throwing me over the rail, and I'm running back. I think it's the best thing in the world. And then Typo Negative starts playing, and I'm still doing it. And it's like my fifth time, and I get over the rail, and a security guard grabs me by the arm and takes me to the back, right? And I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? I wasn't sure if I was in trouble or something cool was going to happen, right? So they go over there and they go, smile. And I smile, and they take like a Polaroid camera and take a picture of me, and it spits out my face, and they open a door and push me out, and the door closes, and I'm in the rain. I'm seriously like standing outside in the rain. They'd thrown me out of the show. I'm not quite exactly sure why, probably because there's probably a no crowd surfing rule, and I was upset
during Typo.
Right,
Where
and
was
we
this
actually,
at?
and my mom had backstage
Seattle
passes
Center.
for Danzig to meet Danzig. So I'm like standing outside. I'm like 16 years old, 17 maybe, 16, no, 15, 16 years old. And I didn't know what to do, and I just sat down. There was no way I can get back in. And this guy comes walking up, and he's all, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Eugene, and I came up to see the show, and I was, crowd surfing, got thrown out, and I can't get back in. My mom's inside." And he's all, "Well, it's your lucky day." He's like, "I won 2 tickets to this Danzig show on the radio, and I couldn't find anybody to go with me." He's all, "Here's a ticket, get back in." And I got back in right when Danzig started to play. And it was like it was like the most luck that I could have had.
Mother.
Oh, I would, yeah. Mother. No, but that was straight pit for me. That was my first experience of a big pit, crowd surfing, all that, and it was like a big show at the time, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of luck too. So
Yeah.
something I'll never forget.
Good one.
So you guys are both veterans of the music scene, the local music scene.
I guess you could call me that.
Yeah. How long you?
I don't consider myself that though, but I consider you guys that.
But you are.
I know, and I know
you
people
are.
do, but I just don't.
Well, so what have you guys seen change over the years? I mean, good and bad.
Wow.
Because look, you guys are all. It looks like we're all talking about. Little did we know in the mid-'90s, the early mid-'90s, that there was a big Eugene scene that we were part of at Henry's Child.
That was a thing.
You guys were part of the
was
tiny
big.
Seattle scene we had in Eugene.
Right.
A little bit.
Like, that's what
A
we
little bit.
had. I mean, during that time of Seattle scene, we had our own. You know what
Right.
I mean? And
It's really true.
Yeah.
I thought we had a better scene than Portland back then.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
It's funny that you said that because Portland was always kind of weak when it came,
Yep.
on that. Eugene, for some, I don't know if it's the college or what it was, but there was this
Creative Spark.
It was a
creative
buzz.
spark, much more of an art rock type thing going
Yeah.
on. We weren't exactly grunge, weren't this and that.
Nope.
But anyway, I'm digressing. So Bash, what have you seen change over the years?
Oh, wow. That's quite the question.
Because you
I've
started
seen
in
a lot
Eugene and then you
change.
moved to Portland.
Right.
so-
See, well, I was in Eugene for a while. I did a little bit of the Matt Edgar, and then worked with Chris and Colt with the Plethora before that, and then I moved up to Portland in hopes to do something a little different and get somewhere bigger.
Right.
And I've been a part of some Portland bands and seen a lot over the years. I moved up to Portland in like 2000. 2000, yeah, it was 2000 or early 2001. And gosh, what have I seen change? I mean, really, honestly, locally, it's really a hard question. Locally, the bands are still pretty much the same. I think if anything's changed, it's been the recording industry itself, and recording studios and how recording is done, and how money is made by the bands. I think locally, everybody still collectively in up in Portland, everybody supports each other, and we're all pretty much like brother bands up there. We're all friends up there. It's not competition. There's never really that feeling of competition up there, and never really has been since I've been part of the Portland scene. Yeah. But as far as changes go, I've seen most of the changes take fold just in the music industry itself. I mean, it's really a hard question. Yeah.
Well, what about positives and negatives? I mean, do you think things are easier for bands now than they were?
Networking is.
Well, networking is easier nowadays as long as you're on it all the time,
Right.
Yeah.
and really busting your butt on it.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Like replying to people right away about things.
Right.
And,
The one thing I will say one of the most negative things I have seen over the years is it seems like it's getting harder work to get people to come out to shows.
Yes.
People have excuses like jobs and
They also have
kids and
Sebastian. They have a lot more options now.
a lot more options. Home
Really?
entertainment now is a
Exactly.
big thing,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's
So like that, I think that's probably the biggest change I've seen in the last 20 years when it comes down to playing music live in the local scene in the region is the fact that the support and the people that goes shows is just it's diminishing, and it's getting harder and harder to get people out.
It's I completely 110% agree with that. I mean, that's pretty much what I was gonna say.
Right.
I mean, and then there's the insurgence of electronic digital music, where the guy's sitting there with the laptop and the
Right, the whole
pushing
DJ
buttons,
tape,
where
yeah.
he went and beat mapped all these stuff while a couple days before, and I'll see like a show like that sell out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's because as you know, America really caters to the hip hop electronica
Yeah.
crowd. They don't back in the day when metal and rock was actually sitting on top, you had, you were watching a Pop-Tart commercial and it was a metal song playing, eat your Pop-Tarts, and it was, and now it's just all rap and hip hop beats, when you're feeding that to the newer generations and that's what they're growing up on, of course, that's what it's going to be
But
popular.
you know what's funny? Of all people that came up with this analogy, and I think he was spot on, it was Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah.
And he was the one that said hip hop is the new rock because
Yeah.
they're flashing the chicks,
Yep.
the money,
Yes.
all this lifestyle.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that,
They're
Rich.
flashing the rock and roll
Yep.
lifestyle.
It's become, and the really close approximation of that is what hair metal became, the caricature of it.
Yeah.
With the chicks on everything.
Right.
It was all party, rock and roll night party every day. That was Kiss's mantra, and that's exactly what most of, not all, but most of hip hop is.
Think about the rise of hip hop. The rise of hip hop happened about the same time as grunge. Because what grunge did is
Went the
grunge came
opposite
in.
way.
Yeah, because
exactly.
grunge came in and it purged metal.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I remember going down to the downtown mall in Eugene was still closed off.
Yeah.
And you had your gutter punks.
They had the fountain in the middle.
Yeah, and you had your gutter punks down there and stuff. And that was funny because
I got hurt on that fountain.
I'm the elder statesman in the room. But the thing is, punk. When punk came about, I was a kid. It was always ironic to me to see these people that were 20 years younger than me with their mohawks and having their Misfits patch on the back of their jacket and everything else. It's like, do you really know
You're cloning.
Yeah, I mean, how far removed you are from the whole idea?
Yeah.
Punk.
We were trying not to be like everybody else.
Right.
That's,
It wasn't just the music; it was the attitude. And I think
What it does, Rich, I think you're trying to get to is that each genre creates its own culture.
right.
But those cultures all bleed over into each other. So
Yeah.
you talk about the chicks and the money and the success, and it can be rock, it can be country, which has done the same sort of thing, right?
Right, yeah,
And it can be
absolutely.
hip hop. Somehow the iconography of the musician, and it probably started with Elvis, is the first one I can really think of, where the women were falling at his feet, and all the men wanted to be him, and all the chicks wanted to fuck him. I mean, and that was probably the very beginning of that. He already dropped the F-bomb, Tommy. So, and you want to go through watching that Eagles documentary,
right.
and you're talking about listen to Southern country rock, the Eagles, and that same thing though is what they became, and that's really a musician's icon piece, and whatever culture is created around that creates that is what you're looking for and what people are drawn to in a certain way.
But it's funny because there is a distinct difference between being a musician and an entertainer.
Oh yeah,
Right.
We've always that's another point I wanted to bring up with you guys because you're a front man in your band. You play guitar, Kevin.
I transitioned too.
Right. So what made you prompt to actually? Because
You really want to know?
yeah,
Okay, brass taxes. I kept getting into bands, and we'd last for 2 to 3 years, like Conception did, like One Up, Two Down did, and would get this good following, and all of a sudden the band would break up, and what would I be stuck with? A bunch of lyrics.
yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do with this? Yay, I can't even sing the songs because I sang along with their guitar riffs. So I picked up a guitar and I started writing stuff. And just was like, you know what? Let's see where this takes me. Let's see if I even get on stage ever doing this. But I'm going to do it. And then I decided to name my own band, write the songs, blah, blah. And then now here I am.
Yeah.
And I feel much more comfortable doing what I'm doing and playing guitar because I feel like I'm part of the music now instead of just the front man.
Sure.
There is a difference. There's a big difference. It's like I might not be able to sing as perfectly well as I could if I was just singing.
Right.
But now I can't sing without playing guitar.
Yeah.
So the part I always hated on stage was sitting there and trying to figure out what I do with myself while the guitarist is doing his lead.
Right.
That's Kevin, that's never been a problem for me.
I know you got moves, man.
dances.
I don't dance. You know, like I'm like that, guy.
It's just never been a problem.
I'm so self-conscious when it comes
I
to
get
my
the-
moving. I
get for me in the music, frankly, I love those interludes, and maybe that's part of what helped the whole stage thing is that when we would hit those grooves in those moments. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
a
me
lead
too.
fan. I am in that groove. When you're listening to the, what do you want to call the solo or the musical interlude in Headlights, I fucking love that. It is so good. That is one of the best things you've ever written on guitar over that groove, and I love it.
Yeah.
We hit those huge grooves, and I get to close my eyes and just be in the moment, and it's
different for everybody.
it is though. No, but you're right, Kevin. That's what you're saying, and that's
That
I'm
moment
agreeing
is
with
where
you.
It's at.
Yeah.
Being in that moment when you're feeling it throughout
Yeah.
your whole body and your
Yeah.
eyes are closed and it's there and you're in the pocket.
Yes,
That's-
in the pocket.
that's
Well
the
said.
moment.
I do that too, but I'm part of
Sure.
that pocket now.
So yeah, I mean, do you think it pulls away from the performance though? Do you?
Playing guitar and
Yeah.
singing?
You just said it did.
I've had people like Toby, for instance.
Right.
Toby, I'm calling you out on this. He's told me, man, you're awesome at playing guitar and singing, but dude, when you used to just sing, you were intense and blah blah blah. And yeah, I was, but
Right.
that was old me,
Ooh, I've got
Like,
something for you, man. I've got something for you to consider. Just consider right now. Think about writing the next 2 songs without you on guitar. Just having
we've
one or
discussed that in the band.
that would be interesting.
And since like I've
Chris Cornell did that
I know
and did it really well.
Mike,
Yeah.
my guitarist, he's really gotten good at like almost emulating what I'm playing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we I don't know if you guys have seen us lately, but there's times when I put the guitar away and I'm
Right.
just singing, and but yeah, I like that idea, and we have talked about and discussed that. So
It enhances the stage.
I know, and it's Chino Marino. He he does the same thing. He'll play guitar on this song, just sing on this song.
It's all good.
Well, Andrew said that.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell.
Yeah,
Perfect example.
First one I saw do that.
Chris Cornell, I don't try to talk about a lot because I still haven't accepted what happened, and I won't accept what happened.
I don't think any of us
And
have.
I
I'm
haven't dealt
I'm
with
still in
it.
shock about it, to
'Cause
be
he's a
honest. It's
huge
been some
influence
time
on
now.
me. Let's just say that Temple of the Dog album.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a huge reason why I even sing the way I do.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
Henry's Child is a huge reason why I sing the way I do.
Yeah, same
Alice in
here.
Chains is a huge reason why I sing the way I do.
Right.
Floater is a huge reason why
Mm-hmm.
I sing. The first 2 albums. After that, I kind of fell off. I don't know why.
You're right. It's someone pointed out, probably Facebook, unfortunately, but the only one left is Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, Eddie Vedder, man. Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam, the guys in Pearl Jam, I mean, they're still ticking along. I think, Eddie Vedder's clean nowadays, right?
He's not even
Most of the
original.
ones that make it this long get
Yeah.
clean.
He's a transplant, Seattle, though. He's not.
Yeah,
even-
San
he's
Diego.
from California.
San Diego.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't count in a way. He does, but
Well, he does.
doesn't.
And,
does.
well,
Hey, Kevin.
you wouldn't
Okay.
have Pearl Jam if it wasn't
Kevin.
for Andrew Wood passing
Okay,
away.
okay.
Because if Mother Love Bone was still around, there wouldn't be Pearl Jam.
It's true.
It's true. And Mother Love Bone, huge. Like, wow.
Right.
I had this
Absolutely.
project where I was.
They were right.
other
It was a lot like like the band Snot. They were like right at that point where they
Yeah.
were gonna be known. Their music was gonna get out, and they both died very young and tragically.
Yep.
Sublime.
Yeah, Sublime, another band too. Right on that cuff of the edge,
Yeah.
right there.
Or
What is that band? Let the bodies hit the floor.
Drowning Pool.
That
Right.
guy,
Yeah, that's true.
And you still hear that song.
You do?
It's
a good
crazy.
song.
Oh, dude, that's karaoke king right there. You go to any place where a metalhead is gonna sing karaoke, that's the first song that gets pulled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, or what's Shannon Hoon? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blind Melon, another
Melon, huge influence
fantastic
on me.
band.
The thing I was speaking with a friend of mine about the fact that as a musician, we can all attest to this, the fact that the thing that kills a lot of us is time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Oh.
you're going to go play a show.
Oh yeah.
You're going to play for an hour. You're going to give
Yeah.
everything you have, and you have like 1 million hours to deal with before you get there.
Yeah, I spent like 3 weeks just thinking about that point in time. You know what I mean? Like,
well, let's say the
roller coaster ride.
Yeah, let's say you're in Seattle. We used to go to play in San Francisco quite a bit. So we go to San Francisco, or you're out of town. You're in your van. You're not going to play for 6 hours.
Drinking some fine potato wine.
Right. So you are left to your own devices. You find things to entertain yourself, and those aren't always
idle hands and the devil's play.
Hey, it's one of the reasons. It's something I've said. It's one of the reasons I quit. Yeah. I was a little afraid of it.
You want to know what I heard that you quit because I was just a fan.
Oh, what did you hear? I'd love to hear this. This is great.
As a 16-year-old, I was about 16 when 16, 17 maybe when you guys switched singers. I heard, this is just what I heard back then. I don't know. I heard you quit to sell real estate.
No.
But that's just what I heard. And you know what?
To sell real estate?
Yeah, from a fan standpoint,
music, real estate.
That was
right?
How lame is that? That's all I could think of. Like,
that's crazy.
Great.
And in my mind, because I'm a teenager and I'm not thinking, he's got to pay his bills and he's got to have a life.
But that's
I'm
not
thinking,
it.
He's a rock star. Why would he do that?
You could partially blame Greg Eklund from
that's funny.
Jollymon
You
and
can.
later on Everclear. Because we went down to NAMM in 97. And he had a conversation with Greg. And
I did.
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
Yeah. And that kind of tainted.
Oh, I'll tell you. So Greg might actually, if he ever listens to this, Greg Eklund. So we see him at NAMM, and he's remember he was in Everclear at that time. Mm-hmm. They were huge, selling millions of albums. So he was at one of the drum booths. I think it was for Cymbals actually, and he was doing his little "Hey, I'm the drummer of Everclear," and there was a bunch of press there and people. I'm wandering by, do. I'm like, holy shit,
yeah,
that's Greg.
Yeah,
no shit, that's Greg.
And he's got all this press around him.
Wow. And so I'm standing in the back, smiling like I can't believe it. He's doing the rock star thing, and he's looking around, and I wave at him, and he looks at me, and he's points at me like big wide eyes, like holy crap! And
somebody I know.
That's exactly right,
yeah.
and it shocked me.
Yeah.
But he ended the whole thing. It was near the end, and beelines over to me, and we go get a couple of beers that he had in some cooler, and sit down and talk for 2 hours. He hadn't been home, but for 10 days in 2 years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
He was living the dream.
Yeah.
The dream. The way he told it. Not so much, man. And it was really powerful because at the time I was already having those fears. He was talking about that free time, talking about that dead time, talking about the drugs and the girls and the alcohol and all that temptation
to make a person cry. That's what I've heard. That's all I've ever heard about music.
That's great.
It's designed to make you cry.
Yeah, and that was I will say that was the giant log that broke the camel's back. Really? It really was because I was already having my doubts. Make no mistake. Well, yeah, and I was not in a good space in my head at the time. There's a multitude of reasons.
Oh yeah.
It was one more of just.
That's a huge reason why I'm glad I never made it made it like we all think of making it,
Well, that was the dream when we were all younger.
Well, sure.
When we're all kids.
The dream about, making a living doing music and then having that fun, lavish lifestyle that follows with it was a big thing when we were kids, but then the music industry has completely changed.
For me, letting go of that delusion of grandeur.
Right.
That's what I had to do to start doing this because I quit for 5 years. So I had to just let go of any I'm going to go somewhere with this and just I need to do this to be happy. And that just going on that, it seems like what I'm doing is a little more successful than it was before.
Absolutely. You get out of that mentality. Yeah. You're doing it doing it because it's how what feels right and not because you have this massive, unrealistic goal in front of you.
And that drug adoration that you wish that you could bottle up and sell
and
be a billionaire.
Well, I call that the get signed boner now. When you meet those new bands, those new kids that are coming out, and they're like, dude, we got this label looking at us. I'm like, yep, they still got the get signed boner.
Okay, guys, this is a bit more serious question. I'll ask Kevin first. So what are your musical goals right now?
My musical goal, my number one main musical goal is I've been doing this, since I was really started actually singing in bands when I was 20, 21. Like really, like actually.
So how old are you now?
doing it. I am. I'm gonna be 41.
73?
I'm gonna be
Oh,
41 in a week,
Wow.
like Friday.
Wow, we have a couple of
So,
41-year-olds.
but,
Almost an exact decade.
So what is my goal?
Yeah,
my
what's your musical goal?
My main number one goal is to release an album. Finally, I've never released an album.
Really?
It's always been
What?
demos and
Oh,
singles.
I know what you mean.
I want to release an
full
actual
album.
album, have a real successful hope for a real successful CD release party or album
Sure.
release party. And the second thing I want to do, which is really just kind of a dream more than anything, is play for over 3,000 people. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And really, that's everything. If anything that happens after that is just whatever happens
Right.
kind of thing. I want realistic goals here. I mean, and bless the guys in my band's hearts. They have different goals than me that are much higher, and that drives me very well. So yeah.
There you
I
go.
get
You
that.
always- you always
That's great.
need that carrot and pulling you forward,
definitely. They have a carrot. I just kind of I'm the Debbie Downer of my band.
And so if you're the old cynic, they're
Yes, they are
they're
the
pushing you
uplifters.
along.
They are the uplifters. They are.
That's
no,
great.
but seriously, this is an actual dream. Especially Mike, man. He got me back into playing. I quit for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's
And He
awesome.
just goaded me and goaded me and goaded me into it, and then we find out we're brothers. Well, we share a brother, which is really a whole nother story.
I'm not
Another
even
story,
sure.
all right.
I'm not even sure how that makes sense.
Okay,
I'm
Bash.
a little confused by that.
What about you?
Well, I have my goals have changed over the years. Right now, I have a few different goals musically. We're almost done with our album in Othrys. We've put in a lot of time and work into that.
cool name.
It's taken us some time because we all have jobs and lives and kids, so we weren't able just to go in and spend 3 months solid tracking the album. We've just been doing it on our free time, which has taken the last 2.5, 3 years. But yeah, we're almost done with that. I just want to get it released. Much like what Kevin was saying, just get it out there, get the album out. But a big focus of mine right now is recording and producing. I've been taking the Unstoppable Recording Movement, Nail the Mix classes, and I'm paying for those monthly. I've got a machine, about to build my own little studio in my house, and just I'm into recording my own music. I play guitar, I can program drums, I play bass, I can sing, and lately I've had this great release recording just my own stuff and not having to deal with a bunch of other people all the time. And I love my bandmates. They're talented, great guys. So, and I'm not saying anything bad about that, but there's something to be said sometimes just releasing your stuff, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because
It's
I've been
you.
playing in bands for years and years and years
Right.
where I've just paid attention to my part of the of the writing process,
Right.
and maybe make suggestions here and there. But so right now it's the home recording thing for me, and playing at home a lot right now, and recording has been like my big priority right now.
You won't be a creepy old metal guy. You'll be creepy old singer-songwriter
I'm
guy.
gonna be creepy old singer-songwriter guy, right?
There you go.
I have I'm sitting on between almost 17 etched in bone songs. That's what I've named my solo
yeah.
project
That's
is
a cool
etched
name,
in
too.
bone.
Well,
And
you're like the cool
I just
name guy,
haven't
aren't you?
released them, huh?
You're like a cool name guy.
I play a lot of video games.
Well, there you go. You have a
Actually,
very good
the etched in
imagination.
bone came from my mom. My mom's a writer, and she has books
Sounds
that's
like a
been
book.
published.
It
Yeah,
does. It really does.
it's actually one of the titles of her books and one of her series. She has a Maker's Song series, and one of her
Not
books.
plagiarizing when you're related.
It's yeah. Well, see, my mom thought it was great. She's like, I have it as a book, and it's your solo project name. It's great.
He called and asked for he called and asked for permission.
Oh yeah, from my
like-
mom, sure. Yeah, I'm like, Mom, etched in bone, fantastic. Yes,
That is really cool.
but
That's good.
But yeah, my goals now is it's kind of get that album out with the band, keep recording and pushing my solo stuff out, and I'm happy.
That's good. That's good. So, do you have any upcoming shows? Or?
Yes, actually, April 25th at the Paris Theater, we're opening up for Ginger.
Yeah.
With Von Doom and Finnersey.
Toby lost his mind.
Yeah,
over
he
that.
loves those
I-
guys.
Toby came in 4 weeks ago. He's all, you got to check out this band, Ginger. I'm like, okay. So he places the videos. I'm like, wow, yeah, that chick's hot.
Oh, it's a chick.
She's not just hot. She's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
got great clean vocals and can scream like the best of them.
And she's hot.
And she's hot.
And I think they're Turkish. Which
They're from Armenia. Is it the same place as System of a Down?
That's the same place as Turkey.
Oh, the same place as System of a Down is what I
They're
was
Armenian,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're California
System
Armenian.
of a Down. Huge
Yeah.
influence on me.
And back to this though.
So Toby came in just chuffed to hell, about it. What happens? What happens?
They get the
Ginger
show.
decides to play Portland. They decide to play the Paris Theater, and
We got invited to be on the bill.
dude,
I think I've actually put officially on Facebook going. So I think I'm actually attending that show.
Fantastic.
it makes you go.
Driving up. So what date?
It is April 25th. It's a Wednesday
Got
at
it.
the Paris Theater, which has reopened, and what I've heard has been remodeled inside. It's very swanky, nice, has an LED screen behind the stage. Very nice. Supposed to be pretty nice. So
Kevin, what do you have coming up?
2 shows. One that's a benefit in Portland at a place called O'Malley's. We're playing with Sweater for an Astronaut and a couple
cool.
other bands. I don't know. It's a benefit for a little kid named Ricky that's got some terminal cancer.
oh, poor
Yeah,
guy.
he's like 7 years old. So he's really cool, and if you hear about it, you should go. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be at that show.
it's Friday, April 13th. Us and Sweater for an Astronaut are the band's opening.
Sweater nap.
Yeah, Sweater Nap. Sweater for an Astronaut. So we're playing first, and it's going to be like 7:30. We're going to go on. And then after that is Sweater for an Astronaut. And there's some really good bands after us. But then the next show that we got is the Wow Hall, May 16th with Moto Grader.
Nice.
That's that Toxic Zombies on it.
Yeah, Toxic Zombies on it, Moto Grader, American Wrecking Company, and
Sweater nap.
for an Astronaut.
course.
Sweater Nap.
Sweater nap.
Chris Phillips, the drummer for
Yeah,
Sweater
he's
for an
awesome.
Astronaut, he told us like they want to be the opener for everybody.
I know.
That's their what an interesting
Like, we might get to that show on the 13th, and they might be like, we want to open. And I'm like, all right. You know.
what an interesting goal. It's like we just want to open for everybody.
Yeah. They're good, though. I mean,
of
in their
course.
teardown time, awesome.
Right.
So what we need the Athearchists and
Yeah.
Sweater for the
Yeah,
for an
yeah.
astronaut to play together.
Sweater Nap, you mean?
Yeah, Sweater Nap. Yeah.
Sweater nap.
So album releases. When's Othrys gonna?
Can you put a date on it yet?
I really can't put a date on it, but it's gonna be.
Can you give me a month?
I'd say give us 2 months.
2 months.
Yep, we're done tracking it now. It's going into mixing and mastering here. So, and that takes however long. Anyways, Corey Parkinson is at the helm of this. So, and he's a busy guy with other bands and other stuff. And so, when he gets to the mix and master on there, then yeah,
Got it.
You have a floating date.
it's a floating date right now.
I know how that feels.
Yeah. So Kevin, what about you guys?
We just got a financial opportunity just recently, and we are planning on going into possibly Gung Ho.
Nice.
Because
Good
we
studio.
all know the sound that comes out of there.
Yes, we do. Bill Barnett.
What
yeah.
that guy has under his belt. And we're possibly thinking about going in there. We're still weighing our options out. But as a band, we're ready to go in and record.
Good.
Like, we're firing on all cylinders. We need to go in.
Good.
Nice.
So, and we want the raw sound. So,
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
you know.
So, if our listeners want to find out more about Vial Experiment or Othrys, where can they go?
Well, you can find us on Facebook
Okay.
/Othrys.
You might want to spell that. Seriously.
Okay, www.facebo.
I love you, man.
All right, so facebook.com/Othrys, OTHRYS.
There you go.
And you can find out all our updated shows and everything there. If you need to get a hold of us or reach us, you can find us at othrysband@gmail.com.
Cool.
And Vial Experiment. You can find us first off at vialexperimentmusic.com or Facebook / at Vial Experiment. Sure, you can find us there.
Throw it in the Google, right?
Yeah. Vial Experiment. VIALEXPERIMENT. Not VILE because we're not gross. Some of us are. Sometimes.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up now, and thank you. Appreciate it. Bash?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't get to tell my Bash story though.
We'll tell your Bash story.
Yeah, we want to get the Bash
Come on,
story.
so you're cutting it off too soon, man. It's funny. I'm thinking about these guys, and Kevin, I never knew you back in the day. No. I don't remember. That's.
I didn't know you guys. You guys were just like the rock stars that I wanted to be.
Fair enough. Appreciate that. Bash, though, I don't know how you came to light that I knew who you were as a person. I think you talked to Rich a couple of times, if I remember correctly.
Chris and Colt.
Yeah.
And I met you practices in Cresswell.
I met you peripherally a couple of times. The story about you, I remember most though is at the Wow Hall once. My mom at one of the shows back when we were at our Apex, so it was 300, 400 people, typically packed. Walks to the front of the stage before we get started. And we weren't doing anything dramatic back then because the lights were on the stage. And so I was hooking stuff up and I looked down, there's my mom with her little purse. And you have got those kids that are in the first 2-3 rows, right? They're packed there and you can't get past that. So she's a couple of kids back. So she's the first one that's going to feel the pit when the song starts. And as long as Failure's intro is, it gets going, as you guys all know.
Right.
So remember Big James, the big bald guy, about 6'5" dude, right? Everyone remembers Big James, right? You and Big James were right at that same spot because you guys were ready to start the pit, right? I mean, that's what you guys wanted to do.
What I like to do.
That's right. You were ready first song. You were ready to get into it right then, and that's what something I loved about your energy back then. I really did. It was great to see you there every time. I loved it. But there's my mom. And so I talked to you and said your name, and you're like, what? You look up, and James is there. He's looking at me. I'm like, you guys, hey, that's my mother right there. Song's about to start. Can you guys stand right behind her and just protect her from what's going to happen? You guys good with that? And you both were kind of stunned because I was, it's right before the set's about to start. You're like, what? Huh? Yeah. But you both were like, oh, okay. And you stood there, you crossed your arms and got right behind my mom, like hugged her into the people in front of her. Stood there for 7 minutes during Failure, and you guys got slammed the whole time and took that punishment for my mom. I'll never forget it. It was awesome. It's one of my great stories.
Awesome.
My mother remembers that, Bash.
That's awesome. Cool. That is super awesome. I mean, my memory doesn't serve so well time, but you know what? I think I totally remember that moment.
Respect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was great. It was great that I knew you guys so well. You knew what I was asking you. There was no weirdness about it. You were like, okay, yeah, I got it. You guys just like hugged up into it.
That's because you were asking me if it was anybody else. They could.
It was great though. I'll never forget. Again, what I want to tell you and repeat myself. My mom remembers that. I remember those two big guys that stood behind me. I mean, she told that story.
They were my guardians.
And I said, you got the whole pit thing. Myself, oh yeah, I walked back after that because you told me I should walk back.
Right. For Henry Shell's asking me to do something. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to tell that story because it's a great story.
That is
I'll never
a great
forget
story.
it. Never forget
I mean, you guys have been such a huge influence on me. Like I know that we were talking a little bit earlier. Like there was this time in my life when I was singing and I was still kind of mimicking who I was influenced by, and I hadn't found my original voice yet. And when I started finding my actual original clean vocal style, it was because of you and Floater. It was like watching you sing and not having to yell it all the time or scream it or use it all gravelly and hear your clean vocals and same with Floater. I mean, from them throwing that out, and it made me realize that I should try to find myself in my vocals and not sound like Lane Staley. You know,
that's right. Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better.
It's interesting. We all do that. I mean, I started singing, and in the beginning, I knew I couldn't sound like Freddie Mercury. Right? I know I don't have that voice, but I realized I could sound a lot like Eddie Vedder. Yeah. I could sound a lot like, right? I could sound like Scott Weiland.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I really could do that. And I could do some Lane Staley. I could go a bit nasal and drop it back and project it out that way. I could do some of that. If you listen to our early recordings, I think you can hear that stuff.
Yeah, in some parts of your heavy stuff.
And
right.
that then it developed from there. So it's fascinating. But that's how it all is. You get those influences, you internalize, people influence you, and then it changes when it finally gets out of you.
Right.
You mimic it until it becomes your own, right?
Right. And then you start to find your own.
Sure,
right.
sure.
It's funny you say that because there's this song off of, I think it's the Drink Me.
Oh.
I had the tape, and I still have the tape. I just could not find it.
Wow.
It's in my tape box. I know I still have the leaflet and everything for it. You know,
Wow.
I still have all my tapes from the 90s.
Love it.
Well, there's a song I used to sing in Conception that there's a song. I'm really bad with song names. You're singing something like "Why" something on that album.
Why something? That's most of the songs on that album.
But anyways, I remember that I almost ripped you off from that part for a song, and I didn't realize I did it until after I had wrote the thing, and then I heard that song. I was like, oh, wait a second.
Got it. It's
That's where that comes from. Oh, geez.
I have done that. I've actually done that so many times where I've wrote in a vocal part and been like, oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And then I hear it and realize, holy crap, that's somebody that has influenced me. And that part just kind of
I just want to
melded
say,
in.
Kevin, I'm super flattered you did that to me, man. Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
That way, you know?
Yeah, I got
the
it.
tone, even what I was singing, almost was the same. It was over different music, obviously.
Of course.
So it
Oh, no.
sounded completely different, and I never changed it.
Love it. That's great.
That we've
That's
touched
great.
on that I don't think a lot of people realize is it's generational.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, we came out there and played. We kind of did our thing, and then you don't think about you're influencing people when you're doing this.
No, you don't. It never crosses your mind.
You're just going out there and doing your thing. And you have no idea whatsoever that people are picking up on, other musicians are there or whatever, and it's like they're picking up on something that you're doing, you know. So it's just you're just doing it. You can kind of see this generational thing. But
see
it's
the
funny
influence.
because it's on a different level than what most people would think about. Because people will look like, oh yeah, you know, I've been influenced by Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin or
Everybody
you know,
was.
yeah, exactly, everybody was. But to think about it becomes macro.
Yeah.
It becomes macro. It becomes, you know.
Eugene had its own sound when you guys were.
That's what I was
dating.
just
It
gonna
did.
say,
It was like
bud.
this kind of gothic, but grunge, but metal, but kind of like.
Art rock.
Eugene has
There was
its
a
own
lot of-
sound.
there was a lot-
especially since I moved to Portland and I can really step outside of the circle and see it. Eugene, Oregon, and the bands there have a sound that's been influenced from each other over the years, and it sounds, you know, it's a unique sound that's true to Eugene.
I have a saying, and I've been saying it for a while. Eugene is a great place to incubate a band.
Yeah,
I mean, phenomenal place, but to be a band there,
it's tough.
That's
tough.
Yep.
Well,
And that's why I
you know-
moved to Portland. I needed to expand my
Well, we have
horizons
the
a bit.
I-5 corridor, so.
That's the reason.
See?
That's the reason that Floater moved to Portland.
Of
That's
course.
the reason that Thresher moved to Portland.
Thrasher, 2 minutes 8.
Yeah, totally, dude. I
Oh,
mean,
Miss Thresher.
But it was-
Scott
stuff
singing to
there.
the deer carcass, man. Scott singing to the
Yeah.
deer
With
carcass.
his
But it
hand
was-
up through the.
Yeah,
but they couldn't
Great
have done
band.
that. They could not have done that in Portland.
that's right. But what? Hold on, but
Floater would not be Floater if it wasn't for Eugene.
Right. Agreed.
Floater would not be Floater if it wasn't for Henry's Child. I'm gonna come out and say it.
we're all. You know what it was? We all influenced each other, and that's okay. And you know what? To their incredible credit, they're
Yeah.
the ones that
Great.
kept it going, and they're in the frickin' Music Hall of Fame, and they deserve it.
You guys
agree.
branched
I
off,
agree,
man,
bud.
and you know each band branched off in their own direction with
Mm-hmm.
it, and it became its own thing. You
That's
know?
right.
And you guys became two very distinctive, awesome bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
So-
were two big, powerful forces in Eugene
Huge
for a long
influences
time.
on me. Oh, jeez, wow. I don't
Memories,
think I'd be
baby.
even trying to attempt this stuff if it wasn't for you guys' bands.
We
Really.
appreciate
that.
Of course, that was never our goal.
Well, I know.
What's
It never
amazing,
is.
though-
But it's a beautiful side
awesome.
track
Oh,
of
yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
residual thing. It's like to know that you're making waves.
It's like now
you know?
me doing what I'm doing now. I'm not doing it for that. I mean, that's awesome if someone
Yeah.
comes up and but I'm doing it to make me happy because it's what I do.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
I think all of our focus has changed over the years. It went from a monetary goal.
Yeah.
It changes over time.
Yeah.
You get older, and it becomes it's a part of you.
Yep.
You know, it is it's important, that almost like downplays the importance of what it is to each one of us.
It's a virus,
to call
man.
it important.
It's more.
It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
It is
in
a
your
life.
bones.
A life
It's deeper
vessel,
than blood.
dude.
I
It's
mean,
in your bones.
could you imagine it being gone?
No.
I mean, no. It's
part
a
of your
part of who
spirit.
you are. It's part
You
of
know?
your spirit. Exactly.
you
Good
just-
good way to say it, Kevin. Yeah.
You just, I mean,
of your
I
soul.
figured it out in the 5 years when I quit. I was so unhappy.
Me too.
I just,
Me too.
I just was not.
I made a
happy.
whole shit ton of money.
Yeah. But
Couldn't get happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that do if you? Wow, I can put my stuff in my box.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here,
Thank you. It was a
Yes.
pleasure being
bearing
here.
your soul and everything that's involved with that, and we hope to see you guys out there
Yes.
playing. And
Hope to do shows with you.
yeah.
It came out my